Here we are. We are in a park. This is a little canal that actually used to be part of the castle moat. And we have lots of cherry trees here. And they are near the end of the blossom. If you look in the moat, you can see lots and lots of petals, cherry blossom petals. Look over here, there's more. So we're just going to take a small walk around the park, take a look at the cherry trees, take a look at how beautiful it is. So, man, there's got to be an example that's closer to the ground than this. What kind of happens with the cherry blossoms is once the blossoms fall, the leaves start to come out. You can see here, this branch has a mix of some leaves and some blossoms. That branch up there is pretty much all leaves now. This, not yet time for this. This is wisteria, which is actually also a plant I really like in Japan. So here's the wisteria tree. And you can train wisteria trees to go onto a lattice, and you can kind of shape them. So you will see places where they take the wisteria trees and turn them into arches, things like that. Down there, that was the castle moat. The castle was up there. Now it's a primary school. You can kind of see a little bit of where the earthworks were. Koi pond. Park management feeds them. There's a sign telling you not to feed them, but they still come over expecting that you will feed them. Here we are. There's the koi pond. Koi are all bunched up over there. There we can see some cherry trees. More cherry trees. This one has started to drop a lot of its blossoms. Hi Peter, how are you today? And once they drop the blossoms, then they start getting leaves. So you can kind of just look at the ground and all the blossoms on it. We are past peak here. I'm doing good. Hi crazy guy. How are you today? Let's go over here. It's kind of a nice look. So this body of water here is a canal. One, for removing the city's water. And two, this part used to be the moat for the castle. I'm good. I don't have work till later today, so I'm just enjoying kind of the end of the cherry blossoms here. As you can see, as far as earthworks, right there was the main building of the castle there. There's a slope. There was a tower built here. Kind of actually was an impressive series of fortifications. Yeah, there was a tower built up on there back in the old days. This ramp sort of follows the old pathway into the castle. There would have been a gate up there. So historically, this side of the canal, this was all like merchant areas, lots of commerce there. And then this side of the canal here outside the castle, this was a lot of where the samurai lived. It's called the Aramachi district. So this is where the samurai's families lived. Now a lot of it was destroyed, so now it's got more space. So your larger stores are there, apartment buildings. It burnt down in 1890s, I want to say, or one of the times. These are lanterns. They turn them on. I'm not sure. They'll still turn them on at night this week. They're sponsored by different companies, local families, groups. So yeah, down there is Aramachi. We might go down there later. Yeah, Japan is, especially this time of year with all the flowers and blossoms, very pretty. We're a little late on this park. I've had a few streams where we're a little late at certain parks. You can see that the leaves are starting to come out, so be nice to the plant. You can see there is the blossoms. They're not technically a true blossom, from my understanding. And then once the blossoms fall out, the leaves sprout out of the base here. So these parts here, they've lost their blossoms, they'll fall, then the leaves will come out. It's very pretty how they're all in bloom and there's lots of the blossoms. And then we get leaves. The thing that would make the cherry tree so much prettier, though, is that during the autumn, they don't have very spectacular autumn colors. They just kind of turn brown and fall. If they had spectacular autumn colors like a maple, then it would be kind of like the ultimate ornamental tree. Yeah, it's just getting late in the season. Was not as spectacular this year as it was most years. I think living in this city, this is probably the worst. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it was the least impressive cherry bloom. So this gives you another idea. So this is a canal. It's run off from the city. There, it would have been used as a moat. What looks like a hill there, that's earthworks that the castle would have been on, and then that building, it's now a primary school. That would have been fortifications would have been. Let's head into Aramachi. Nice. I work for a school in Japan. It's the start of the school year. So it's a lot of those days where the students are here, we're doing a ceremony. The students are here, we're doing this, we're doing that. Kind of before the real school year starts. I jokingly call this week like warm up. Because honestly, not much is happening at the schools. Favorite food, favorite Japanese food, definitely sushi. Other big follow-ups, tonkatsu. I like ramen. Not a super picky eater, but sushi's probably my favorite. Sometimes if I don't feel like cooking and it's not too late, I'll go to Genki Sushi, which is kind of just that way. The big sushi chain here in Japan, but they have pretty good cheap sushi and you can usually get in quickly. Some of the really nice sushi restaurants, the lines can get a little ridiculous. I know them. That kid goes to the same school as my daughter. It'll be weird because, we all have our own social circles. And, my daughter goes to school, so she doesn't go to the school I work at, though. So The kids and the people she knows are totally different. Even though people sometimes be like, "You're a teacher, you know these kids." I'm like, they don't go to my school. I don't know them. This is the new hotel that they built. So it used to be a pachinko parlor there. And the pachinko parlor closed. It had really bad parking. It included, basically the pachinko parlor went up to here, and this was all the parking they had. Not a great system, especially when you're next to the big roads. You'd think that you'd want a lot of parking. They didn't. So they closed. The Four Seasons Shifu, I guess, took over this as a parking lot. They used to be a hotel. They closed the hotel part. Now they're just like a banquet hall, event space. They have a church for weddings. They do a huge wedding and event business. And then R9 bought this property here, which used to be a parking lot, and they're putting up, R9 does these, I don't know what would be a good comparison. They're these small hotels that are like shipping containers. They're pre-built. They can come in. They can build them quickly. A lot of times it's a cheap place for people that are doing road tripping to stay. It's supposed to open in next month, I think. Tani, that's a grocery store. So this is Aramachi. Long time ago, these were mostly covered with samurai residences. The samurai that served the local lord, Woka, lived in this area. Now, some of them were, by the end of the Edo period, the samurai had lost a lot of their money. They were not very wealthy anymore. So some of them were sold. Then other ones were destroyed in a fire. Then there was a few fires. I think 1890-ish was the big one here. The city keeps going that way. That's actually, most people live down there. This is more of the historic area. All right, thanks for coming in, crazy guy. We'll keep walking along the Cherry Blossom Trail. This part is boring, lots of cars. Okay, truck, medium truck. Yeah, I think so too. I like living in Japan. If you kind of want a smaller city, a lot of the smaller cities in Tochigi, which is where I am, are actually pretty great as far as if you want kind of like a relaxed life. That's what they're good about. It's okay. I understood what you meant. So this area, Tochigi, a lot of the smaller cities are pretty nice for like a relaxed, calm life. One thing I do like about the city, Mocha, is they have a lot of these bicycle trails. I'm wondering if they were old roads that were just, we're not turning these into car roads. They're too small, they're too tight. But a lot of these walking / bicycle roads are really nice because you can get around a lot of the city and not be on the pavement right next to the cars, which is kind of nice. So one of the things about this area, Aramachi, is that because it was destroyed and got rebuilt a few times, is they had a lot more space to work with than other parts of the city. So things are not as dense here. You know, there's quite a bit of space between even the apartment buildings and houses. They have a lot of parks. Let's see if I remember correctly. It's always hard when you're in a neighborhood you don't live in. Alright, I'm glad you came in and said hi, crazy guy. So yeah, they have a lot more parks and stuff in this neighborhood. So we're gonna take this trail down towards Osaki Jinja, which is the big shrine. see the cherry blossoms are falling. It's becoming a coating on the ground. They get stuck on your bicycle tires. One of my friends, I bicycled and met up with them. They looked at my tire and it had all these cherry blossom leaves on it. And they were like, "Is that snow?" His friend's a little clueless. I'm like, no, those are cherry blossoms. My shoes are going to be covered in them too. They kind of, especially if they get wet, they get a little sticky. They have a nice garden. I live up on the second floor, so I don't have a nice garden. All right, see you, Peter. All right, bye-bye. Hey, Glacier Shark, how are you? Yeah, cold water between you and me. How was the fishing today? I'm trying to remember the time difference between here and Alaska. Oh, okay. We're just gonna cross. Okay. Glacier Shark's just here for the views. Don't worry, we'll be across the street and back on the interesting stuff very soon. There's the local bus. Yes, DC has some. I went to DC once in the spring. I was probably 14 or 15. I was pretty young. Well, pretty young compared to now. Like half a lifetime ago for me. And it was very gorgeous. My cousin's family lived in DC for a long, long time. He got married. He got married. Yeah, they trim these ones to keep them a little more, to keep that, particularly this area, from getting too wide and bothering people's houses. They'll be a little more round if you go to a park. They also, you can shape them like any plant. Oh, another local bus. Yeah, so what they're doing with the trees here on this path, because there's buildings on both sides, is they're actually going in and trimming them to try to keep them from, here you can look right there, you can see where they cut a few years ago. They're trimming them to stop them from getting too close to the houses and the buildings, and they're kind of worried also about branches falling on people. So you notice they let it get longer here because it's another path. And then they just let them grow as tall as they want to, pretty much, because it's harder to trim them that way. If you look, you can't see very well down there. Those guys kind of triangle out because they let them grow. That guy's in a park, so they just kind of let him get big and round. And that one. for a while, particularly ways back there, they kind of let them get out too much, so they trimmed them back a lot. So you can see that branch that was pointed towards the house there. They trimmed that. Those guys have been left pretty much their own devices down there. Hi, Terry B. How are you? We're just going for a little walk. I had to work late last night, so I didn't go fishing. I kind of just dropped my kid off at school and then started this live stream. So I'm doing good. I'm feeling refreshed. It's the start of a new school year here, so it's back to work for a few weeks, and then there's Golden Week, which is a holiday. We're just walking on one of the bicycle trails here, heading towards Sucky. The cherry trees are a little past prime. They're starting to drop their blossoms, starting to see some leaves spread out, but still pretty, kind of pretty with all the on the ground. What's for dinner, Terry? Yeah, this one's accessible, so let's take a look. What's going on here is with the blossoms, and they will come out of here, right? Now, once they fall off, and then the blossoms then the leaves come out. So we're starting to see some leaves come out on these trees, so the blossoms are all on the ground. Sausage, my shrimp, oh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. This one's the Glacier gets to worry about bears. Yeah, I know. Now you said that, I feel hungry. Ooh, sweet. What do you hunt with a spear gun where you are? Oh, you're gonna hunt the gators with the spear gun. Actually, that'd be scary and wild. Yeah, they haven't finished their game yet. They're running late. It's one of those games I got taught at one point, and then I don't remember how to play. I've had a lot of games like that in my life where I'll get introduced to a game and play it for a little bit. Oh, that'd be fun. I've never shot a firearm with a silencer before. I haven't shot a ton of firearms, but I've never used one that had a silencer before. Or suppressor. I guess suppressor is the correct word. What's the other name for them? Regulators. In some places they're called. Actually, only shot one pig in my life too. I'm one of those people. I've done some hunting, but it's like pretty limited. I've shot one pig, one deer, 2 turkeys. A lot more like small game. Yeah, that would make it more pleasant. Hey, crazy guy. I like this stone. This is a local special stone. So because of the air pockets, it's a little more lightweight. Good morning. It was used for a lot of construction. Thank you. About to come to another canal. This one's actually very pretty this time of year. So, I don't remember the names of the different cherry tree species, but most of the cherry trees that we've seen so far have been one particular species. Here, along this canal, they planted weeping cherry, which I actually think is very pretty. I like how it hangs down into the canal. There's also a white weeping cherry. There's a temple in Mashiko that's famous for that. It's got a very old white weeping cherry. These are kind of normal white one. We've got some of the very pink weeping cherries. I think they're pretty. There's a lot of species of cherry tree, but generally only a few get planted. I did a live stream at a park in Mashiko, which has different species of cherry, and they turned out they bloom even earlier, and they lose their blossoms even earlier. So I was really too late with them. I'm safe. Old style house. So this area was a long time ago a bit more outside of the city and developed. So the old buildings here were farmhouses, and then as happens, they slowly sell off the land. A lot of times, particularly as they get older, the kids aren't interested in farming, which is pretty common here. I should meet you guys and go shooting sometime. You've got cool stuff. So this block here actually used to be a farmhouse. That building there that's new too. So this whole thing was a farmhouse, and they sold out the land around it, probably generation by generation. And then finally sold the farmhouse itself here. So this building here that's newly constructed was part of the farmhouse. So it took up basically all the space to those daffodils to here. Selling okay. So 3 lots remain, 260 and a half square meters. No. Would be. That's pretty cheap. That'd be like $40,000 US. Conversion rate probably changed. No, that'd be less. Yeah. So the plot is about the price of a car. There's your really round tree. Yeah, I probably would enjoy shooting more if I was using some type of noise dampener, suppressor, regulator, whatever you want to call it. This is very much what the trees look like if you don't trim them. They get a lot more round. These ones on the trail get trimmed. Oh yeah, okay, here you go. Here's more of your traditional style farmhouse. This is, there's the garbage man, what they used to have here. So this is very much your kind of traditional style farmhouse. So this area was kind of all occupied by fields and houses kind of like this for quite a bit of history. Then they sold the land, built houses like that. So yeah, your old Japanese style farmhouse were actually quite spacious compared to when we think about like modern houses. But they are difficult to maintain. The heating is expensive. They basically have no insulation. So actually cooling them in summer is also a pain and expensive. So if you do buy one of those, you're kind of stuck with this. You probably want to put in a lot of money to modernize them. That's also why in some areas you can buy them for so cheap. One of my friends was looking at a house and it was $25,000 US at the time. Yeah, $25,000 US at the time. Probably, I don't know. You know, the conversion rates move up and down, but at the time, he's also American. He's also from Massachusetts. He was looking at a house and it was $25,000, but the problem is that you are going to spend double that, maybe bringing it up to modern standards. You know, he wanted to insulate it again, naturally, or re-insulate it because the insulation wasn't very good. New windows, new this. The tatami flooring was disgusting. There's another kind of example of an older house. And a lot of times on the property, then they build more modern stuff. It's actually, you can see, this one is kind of cool. So that is an old foundation. It's a new building built on top of an old foundation. That's a new foundation. So the new foundation is built right next to the old foundation, and then they built on top of it a more modern building. It's still kind of old. This one needs some work. So yeah, Japan's got this weird thing where you can, particularly if you want to live in a more rural area, you can get old houses for relatively cheap. Not as cheap as it used to be. That's starting to change, but you can get one for relatively cheap. You're just going to have to sink a lot of money into it. I remember when I first came to Japan, you could get some houses for ridiculously cheap. There was the same friend. He's one of those people, he keeps looking at houses, thinks he's going to do it, never pulls the trigger. He's one of those people. He was looking at one in Nikko that I think was like $13,000-14,000 US. And this was during COVID. During COVID in particular, these vacation homes and not vacation homes, sorry, these like Airbnbs, people bought these houses near touristy places like Nikko, and they intended to turn it into an Airbnb, but then COVID happened, there was no tourism, and so they were just trying to get out. And so at that time, around Nikko in particular, because Nikko's a huge tourism place, both domestically and internationally, you could get houses for ridiculously cheap, even ones that people had started the process of modernizing and turning into an Airbnb or a homestay, like that type of stuff for tourism money purposes, you can get them for really cheap. Now, after COVID, I'm sure that's not going to happen. Now people are trying to buy, paying big money for houses to try to do the same thing because tourism to Nikko's exploded. It's one of those standard places people go. You know, if you're visiting Japan, oh, you go to Nikko. The one issue with that, though, is that there's a lot of tourism in Nikko, but a lot of it is day trippers. So you can take an express train from Tokyo to Nikko, go out, do kind of the really popular tourism highlights, the shrines and temples, things like that. You know, get off the station, get on the bus, go to the shrines and temples, you know, walk the big street where all the shops and stuff are, and take a later train back. So, yes, there's people staying in Nikko, but it's not as many as you'd think from the number of tourists that you see. Still, though, there's a lot of people that spend a night in Nikko. It's pretty nice. I've spent plenty of nights in Nikko. I've also spent nights in a tent in Nikko. I spent one night in a tent on the side of the mountain during a storm in Nikko. That was not my most fun night. Well, I don't know, it was fun in hindsight. Now it's funny. Alright, we're in Osaki Jinja. This is the big shrine. They're not officially open, but they're open. But you can see the apprentices are still cleaning up and stuff. They still got the guys working on things. So there's the lucky god of commerce and agriculture. And here's the lucky god of fishing and trade. I guess is the best way to put him. Actually, he's more commerce. He's more like industry. Lots of those trees that are bare, lots of those are plum trees, and plum trees bloom before cherry trees. So they've already bloomed and fallen. Here's the Gogogawa. This is so here's the modern water control system, right? So we have a series of locks there they can control, move up and down. They're all the way open right now. The dam is adjustable, so it can hold back more or less water. Let me see if I can get close enough to actually give you a view. And we'll take a look at the dam real fast. It's one of those cases of I know how the dam works. I'm not sure if we can actually get... No, they're not going to let you get close enough. Some of the smaller ones, they let you get really close to. It's actually probably not safe. There's the fish ladder. It's not that time of year. So salmon, if salmon run in this river, you cannot bother them. You cannot target them, you cannot bother them. If you catch them by accident, you gotta let them go, and you can't take them out of the water. Not the time for the run, obviously. So the way this dam works is that it's like a piece of a plate that can be moved up and down to hold back more or less water. So during the summer, they actually hold back quite a bit of water before the Matsuri festival, because during the part of the festival is people carrying mikoshi, shrines, into the water downstream from here. So they actually purposefully try to hold back water a few days before the festival. Make things a little safer. The historical record doesn't, how should I phrase this? As far as any records that historians and shrine know about, there's always been some type of dam here. They can't find a record that mentions there not being a dam at this location. Oh, I forgot there was this is a new sign actually. Saki Jinja Shrine is said to have been built in the Jingo Kyorin era, so 767 to 770 of the Nara period, and is an ancient shrine that is recorded in the Insheki Jimyako as one of the 11 shrines of Shimotsuke. So long ago, this was Shimotsuke province. Now it's Tochigi prefecture. They don't match one for one, but this particular spot. The shrine enshrines the deity of Okinoshi no Kami and Koto Shinoshi no Kami. The main sanctuary, worship hall, and offering hall are all lavishly decorated with carvings. The guy who carved it was actually pretty famous. An important building for understanding the development of Gogenzoku style of architecture. It is designated National Important Cultural Property in 2018. In addition, Osaki Weir on the Gogyo River is known as a weir that was renovated under supervision of Nomio where is this kanji? Sontoku. And a major renovation was carried out in 2021. I actually remember that major renovation. It was pretty impressive. But there's another picture here. So that one kind of covers really, really basic. There's another one around here. Oh, there it is. This would be the earliest known photograph of the weir, the dam there. That would be 1905? I'm bad with, I'm not good with when it's like 5th year of so-and-so era, and I'm like, I don't remember those so well. Oh yeah, this is one of the treasures they have in the treasure house, is this map. So here we are. Actually, no, we're here. Sorry, we're at this second torii gate, which shows Osaki Jinja, and there was roads here. So this is, as far as this is the oldest map of Mocha, the Mocha area. What's now Mocha? 900-ish. Once again, when it's like tempo, 5th year of tempo era or something like that, I am not good with those. I don't remember the eras very well. Especially if it's, yeah. Like, as far as I have to remember, I was born in Hensai 2, because I need that for paperwork sometimes. My wife was born in Hensai 2, and my daughter was born in Riwa 2. I think I have hers written down because I keep forgetting. Riwa 3. Yeah, Riwa 3. All right, we're just gonna walk along the Gogyo for a little bit until we get to the train tracks, and then we're gonna get off. And we'll walk. There's more cherry trees there. Oh, train's coming. I don't really want to show this person's face, but I do want to show the train. Ohio. Oh, I think my gimbal's battery's starting to die. some more blossoms there. We're going to see more when we get to the train track. I need to start walking more for my health. Maybe I should start live streaming them more to motivate me, because I'm like, I don't want to go walk for an hour. I'm lazy. It's actually still part of the shrine. As far as here, they keep some spare statues back here. These cherry trees have already bloomed and, oh no, plum. These are plum. Ooh, man. One of the things this year, though, is we had a very uneven blossoming where we would have maybe this tree is in full bloom and spectacular, and then this tree is not, but then now this tree is losing its blossoms. Now this tree is coming to full bloom. So we didn't have that kind of nice, everyone had or was near peak at the same time moment. All right, here we have a plum tree. Plum blossoms before cherry. The other interesting thing about plum is that they lose their blossoms and they don't instantly go to leaf like the cherry tree does. So the cherry tree goes pretty much straight from blossom to leaf. These guys, garbage truck. Our garbage trucks have rainbows on them. It's kind of cute. So the plum, they lose their blossom, and then it takes a while for the leaves to come out, so they're kind of barren looking for a while. Where the cherry tree goes straight from blossom to leaves. Yep, there they are, taking out the trash. So those are cherry trees down there. This plant's Japanese name is Nanahana. It actually tastes pretty good. So when it's at this state, right here, not blossomed yet, perfect for eating. All right, would have been perfect like 2 days ago. So the trash here, we have crows. Everyone in Japan has crows, but we have too many crows. And the crows, they like to get in people's trash and tear it apart and rip it up and eat things. So that's why they have this netting here to stop the crows. There's your kind of more. These were originally built as a cheap public housing, if I remember correctly. This would have been during the boom years. This neighborhood's kind of weird. Lots of abandoned stuff. There used to be a pretty big kind of tourist attraction. There were kind of different markets and stuff in there. There was a squirrel cafe. There were different restaurants and stuff there. Another train coming. But COVID kind of killed that, unfortunately. Yeah, so here, kind of the opposite with the cherry. They lose the blossoms, and the leaves come out instantly. Which I guess is pretty nice. Don't dump your trash here. And this is newer construction. Like a lot of rural cities in Japan, the growth is stagnant. The population growth is stagnant or negative here. All right, let's watch the train. This is the local rail line. It runs from, well, that guy, he started in Motegi, and he'll go all the way to Shinseki in Ibaraki. Abandoned apartment building. Population growth is kind of negative, so older buildings sometimes have difficulty attracting or keeping tenants, I guess. Then it becomes, what do you do with that space? There's a little bit like, this is a thing you'll see in Japan. People generally prefer new construction. Some of it is, there was a lot of things were built with this assumption that they were not going to be resold. So a lot of older, not old, but a lot of bubble to post-war to bubble construction, even after it's built to last 20, 30 years, because what they think is going to happen, and their assumption is that people are going to buy it, they're going to live in it, and then move to a retirement community or something else when they get older, or something, they're going to go somewhere else. So these whole neighborhoods would be built, and the life cycle of them would kind of go together of, you know, young couples move in, young couples have families, kids go to the elementary school, kids go to the junior high school, kids go to the senior high school. Now it's mostly retirement community, not many young people. And so because they were kind of built a lot of times in these big blocks, to show you one of those, I'd have to leave the central part of the city. They're mostly outside of Mocha now, but you'll see these where they just develop this whole area all at once, and that most people are very close together in where they are in the life cycle. And that's kind of the nature of Japanese suburbs and these smaller towns, is that they'll do this huge building, and then, they fade away, and then it's like, what do you do after? Most people don't. There's this really strong cultural drive, although it's starting to disappear in Japan, of, oh, you should buy a new house, you should buy a new house, you shouldn't buy a used house. So there isn't a strong secondary market historically. The other thing that was going on at the same time is that the concentration of population. So let's say you grew up in a neighborhood like that, in a place like Mocha. So here you are, you go to university, maybe you probably go to university in a bigger city, and then you move to outskirts of Tokyo, Osaka for a job, and now you're working there, and your family's getting older. Do you want to deal with, your parents' or your grandparents' old house? No, it's not worth very much, and so it becomes a bit of a burden. Same thing I talked about. You can buy used houses for very cheap in Japan, but that also means if you inherit one, it's not worth very much. It could just be a big pain. So you might make the choice of, I guess you'd call it like a tactical, basically what people do is they'll decide, okay, look, we're not going to pay taxes on it, we're not going to claim it, and then hopefully eventually it moves off the books. The city takes it and sells it to someone else. And this is also the problem you'll have with these, with some of these really cheap properties for sale, is the city doesn't know the owner, and so there can be legal issues. Picking the blossoms is prohibited. Rapeseed, that's the English name, I keep forgetting. The rape blossoms. Because they can be used as food, and people will pick them for food. But here they want them for, the photos, the look. So don't pick them. Oops. That was before the sign, though. This spot is pretty popular for photography, particularly the steam train that runs on weekends. People setting up to take pictures of the cherry blossoms, the rapeseed, the nanahana, it's called in Japanese, and steam train. Lipson. Actually, maybe I'll end it at the station. Same thing at night, they turn on the lanterns. Lots of people set them up right here. Take a picture of the steam train as it's crossing the little bridge there. Cherry blossoms. You get some pretty nice shots. The thing is it's very, very popular here among rail fans. The steam train. So the steam train, it's the C12. It was built in 1933, I want to say. So it was originally a cargo steam engine, but you know what happens is, of course, they move away from steam engines. But really, the last commercial use of steam engines, or regular use of steam engines, was in Hokkaido. They were still using them for freight. So a lot of the freight engines were operated longer, so they survived longer, which meant they were still in working condition when they finally ended all steam use, which was, I want to say, the 1970s. So here they are in Hokkaido, they end steam usage, they still have a bunch of steam engines. So basically they sold them, and by sold I mean it was not much. Sell them basically to any rail line that wanted steam trains. A lot of them were, put as static displays, but quite a few were preserved in operational order and became used for like these tourist lines. So the steam train that they run on this line is not a one that would have historically ran on this line. I'm not quite sure. I think maybe there were some, but it was mostly passenger service. So they would have used a totally different train. They would have used whatever Japan National Railways was running at the time for passenger trains. There we go. We got the weeping cherry blossoms again. I personally think over the canal, the weeping cherry blossoms look really nice. Yeah, we'll just continue on this side for a ways. Actually, you almost get a better view of the trees and everything on the other side of the road. Just have to deal with the cars going by sometimes. Don't harass the trees. Obviously, the crows. See, those are the crows. They love to eat the trash. They become a problem. Very pretty here. The track was really divide this area, though. I'll show you when we get to the station. I'll get up on the platform and I'll be able to show you what's kind of going on with that. The last weekend, when flowers were something like peak, the steam train was running, there were probably tons of photographers here. Actually, even just any weekend, you'll see lots of photographers set up to take pictures of the steam train. It's really, among the rail fans, it's pretty popular. The other one I didn't realize was popular, and I still haven't turned. I went here. I made a video. It was Wasada. This is a lot of Nanahana this year. There's a bicycle trail. I did it once years and years ago before my daughter was born. There's a bike trail in Oyama where you're going along one of the rivers, and it's just covered. It's basically like this on both sides of the trail and along the river, where it's just cherry tree, Nanahana, all just along this long trail. And so it's a really popular trail that time of year, when you have the blossoms and when you have the Nanahana. But it's also really funny because the access points to the trail are really, really crowded. So where you can park and just take a short walk to get to the trail, tons of people, lots of people, doing cherry blossom viewing, packing a picnic, kind of fun party atmosphere. Then you bicycle a few hundred meters, and now you're in a kilometer or two stretch where you've got to either bicycle or walk to get to, and then there's like no one. There's a lot of places in Japan that are like that, where it's really weird, where you have maybe the first half a kilometer, tons and tons of people, and then the next half a kilometer, and not that many people. And then once you hit a kilometer, people just kind of thin out and disappear. Actually, I had that experience in Taiwan a lot too. We're gonna get advertised. I really hope that music's not copyrighted. I should hit mute. Just thought about that. I really hope that music's not copyrighted. Politicians' jingles shouldn't be, right? Oh, whatever. I'm not monetized. I need the watch hours. I don't have enough subscribers. I don't have enough watch hours. All right, we'll get up on the station. I'll talk a little bit about the geography around here, and then I'm going to call it a live stream. I'm also almost home, so why not? Kind of made a big, giant U. All right, so here's Kitamoka, or Moka North Station. Give you an idea, we are here. To kind of give you a nice overview of the local geography. So one of the things that's going on here geography-wise is the track itself. So this side is pretty dense. There's quite a few houses, quite a bit going on. This side is deceptive. So it's dense around the hospital. My daughter was born in that hospital, actually, nice and close. This is the train station I regularly use, if you've seen some of my videos. Unless I'm just leaving really early in the morning, then I got to go to the main station of the city. But what's going on is, after you cross these tracks, it starts to become very rural very quickly. So down there by that crossing, it's all farm fields after that. There's some houses, there's a temple, there's a park. There's some houses clustered around here. A lot of people, I imagine, are probably associated with the hospital in some way. So the big hospital's over there. That's Haga General, so that's like a regional hospital. That's where like life flights, things like that go into there. The road here, I know, our station's tiny. Have to get your ticket on the train. This is actually one of the largest or larger crossings for quite a way. So you don't really get another large crossing of the rail here. Really until that big road we had to cross by the Capsule Hotel. So this road, you follow it out, will bring you towards Haga and Ichi. And then if you take the next big road, go left, that's going to take you to Utsunomiya, which is the prefecture's capital. And then right will take you to Mashiko, which is a big tourism town and big pottery town. Big pottery town, big tourism town. They're a pottery town first, at least on paper. They rely a lot on tourism. And particularly, they're getting a little smacked by, the yen getting weak, inflation high, wages not growing fast enough, so people's purchasing power is going down. People are less likely to buy pottery. All right, I'm going to end it here and go home. So, thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And well, might as well end this looking at the cherry trees, right? End it properly. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is probably the last live stream I'm going to do about the cherry blossoms because they're fading fast. That time of year is coming to an end. It is still beautiful. I still like watching them. Maybe we'll try to squeeze one more in. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in our next adventure.